Check.
कार्तिक 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 ಬರ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಕಾರ್ತಿಕ್
ಈಗ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಈಗ ಬರ್ತಾ हमारे लैपटॉप को प्रॉब्लम ಅಣ್ಣ ಪ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡೊಂದು ಹಾಡು.
Excuse me, pen ಇದೆಯಾ?
हेलो 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 अरे इधर से उधर जाके हेलो 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 ए फिर वो
अभी मुरली अभी आ रहा है देखो.
hello, 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 hello,
आ रहा है ना? अभी आ रहा है.
hello, hello. आ रहे हो तुम? Hello.
Yes, good evening, everyone. So, I would like to start this session with the prayer. We will chant it together. So, everyone, close your eyes. Om Sehna Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै शांति शांति शांति. So, namaste, respected faculty members, esteemed guests, and dear students. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to this seminar organized by the School of Yogic Sciences at S-VYASA University. Today, we have gathered to explore an essential topic, the adverse effect of adding salt to food. So, we extend a warm welcome to the founder of Prana Vidya, Shri N. Jayachandra Reddy sir. So N.J. Reddy sir is the wing commander, veteran of the Indian Air Force and an alumnus from IIT Delhi. His journey into energy healing began way back in 1994 when he was on the lookout for a remedy for his unbearable migraine pain, which would resurface 2 to 3 times every year for decades. To this surprise, just by learning energy healing and healing others, his migraine pain vanished and never reappeared. He thereafter continued to practice and had healed many critical cases through yoga, prana vidya. So I would like to call Dr. Reddy sir to address our student. So please.
Good evening. Atma Namaste to all of you. Nice to have you youngsters in this interactive session. I will only take few minutes before the next main speaker will address you. Yoga Prana Vidya is a holistic, integrated, complementary, including alternative system. It can be used along with other healing modalities, including allopathy. So the very important thing, Yoga Prana Vidya, you all understand, yoga is a union with the higher. That is required for your capability to be increased, your subtleness or your aura to increase, to help yourself and help the environment, help people around. Prana Vidya is a knowledge of energy body. It is ancient knowledge and it has been used. The time has come for this knowledge to be properly disseminated and utilized for wellness or good health and happiness. More than addressing any bodily or emotional or mental ailments, it is also sustaining good health. Now, this institute is Yoga Anusandhana, Vivekananda, Anusandhana, integrating. So ours also is integrating system as far as the healing the energy body is concerned. So the healing of the energy body can be done by various ways, very simple, including exercise as yoga asanas, including techniques of pranayama, including diet. At a next higher level, by learning to let go of things and forgive, and ask for forgiveness and forgive oneself. And next level, by being a channel, we have said the Shanti mantra, Om Shanti, Shanti, everybody's need is Shanti. Peace is the need. So, Yoga Prana with the mission is to bring peace on earth, and it is not possible without bringing peace in oneself and one's own environment, and then contribute to global peace. Yoga Prana, the teaching is based on healing of physical, emotional, mental ailments, and also spiritual upliftment by understanding and dealing with the energy body or pranamaya kosha. You all are aware, you are in a yoga institute, that there are 5 koshas at least, pancha koshas. I'll put only in simple terms that this energy body or pranamaya kosha is a link between annamaya kosha and all other koshas. This may be understood. So that makes it healing the energy body is holistic also, not just integrated by techniques, but also holistic. You heal body, mind and soul. Very interestingly, if you little understand, the 5th kosha known as Anandamaya kosha is connected through pranamaya kosha even to physical body, What you experience there in Anandamaya Kosha can be experienced in your mental, emotional, and physical bodies through the energy body. Very interesting thing is that the Pranamaya Kosha connects to all the koshas, all these koshas, through what we call the energy centers or chakrams. By development of the aura and chakrams, you can connect to Anandamaya Kosha through Pranamaya Kosha itself, while being in physical body, while being in waking consciousness. This is very important. So healing the energy body, or not just healing the physical body, because physical body is within the energy body, and energy body interpenetrates and extends beyond the physical body. So knowing energy body is very important for any field of activity in the world. So by knowing energy body, you uncover the energy field, because we operate with energy. I'm speaking to you because technology and energy are, no energy, no speech. The speech cannot reach you. The same thing is true, we need energy. So this energy body development in terms of subtler, bigger, denser, make you healthy. And when energy body becomes all right, physical body becomes all right, in Theosophy, this energy body called etheric double. It is exactly the replica of the physical body at the inner aura level. Later it becomes spherical. So please understand this. Healing the energy body can heal any ailment. So 95% of ailments are psychosomatic ailments. Psycho, thinking and feeling, soma, body. Thinking and feeling affecting the body, and all serious ailment, chronic ailments have a root in psychosomatic ailments. So we have to understand energy body and heal it. So all the techniques that by which you can improve the energy body is integrated techniques. And very interestingly, when a person is not in a position to help himself or do himself, another person with a reasonably healthy energy body can transfer the energy or remove the disease energy and replenish with fresh energy, and body can be healed. The fundamental principle which many of us have forgotten is that the body has the ability to heal itself. By giving energy, affected part of the entire body, the acceleration takes place in healing process, and energy follows thought. That's why people have to understand how energy body works to be receptive for the healing. So, Yoga Prana Vidya Ashram is there, and Ramana Trust, about 30 kilometers from here in Tamil Nadu near Talli. And many of the students here have done the Yoga Prana Vidya courses also. We can integrate Anusanandana with the yoga system here and also modern science. Modern science has helped many, saved many lives, but it's time to integrate. And I only say that more than 50% of emphasis must be given for preventing the disease. Next, 10% is to handle the disease by whatever method, whether Ayurveda or yoga or homeopathy or allopathy. But balance of 30% must be utilized to reverse back from condition to take the dependency out of that treatment modality. So that you must understand the body heals itself and body can be regenerated. So saying so, we have a sufficient amount of case studies and thousands of case studies, out of which 100 plus research papers have been published in national and international journal. You can simply Google Yoga Prana Vidya research or YPV research, you will get it. And knowledge of Yoga Prana Vidya help you in any field of your activity, any field of your life, and everybody is a necessity for everybody. You know, peace is the need of the hour. And you must become peaceful to be a channel for peace. And our planetary peace meditation is essentially to channel peace. And when the energy body of the earth is changed, the current situations of natural and man-made calamities will reduce. I end here to give main speaker for the day will be introduced by the institute and will take on. And You people can come, I am available in Yoga Pranidha Ashram, 30 kilometers from here. You can spend time there. And those who have got inducted into Yoga Pranidha system, we can integrate and see, and also we can integrate and see how we can do the research better, so that the quality of life of humanity changes, lifestyle, livelihood changes take place, and we integrate all fields of knowledge towards good health and happiness of everyone and entire planet Earth. Thank you. Atma Namaste.
Thank you so much, Dr. Reddy sir, for this insightful guidance. Now, as we all know that we are gathered here to know about the adverse effect of adding salt to food. So, to guide us through this subject, we are honored to have with us Dr. Surinder R. Neravetla, MD, FACS, a highly respected cardiac surgeon and Director of Cardiac Surgery at Springfield Regional Medical Center in Ohio. With over 40 years of expertise, Dr. Neravetla has performed nearly 10,000 cardiac, thoracic and vascular surgeries, recognized by the Consumer Research Council as one of the America's top surgeons. He is known for his pioneering work in beating heart surgery, wall repairs, and minimally invasive lung resections. So, before calling him on the desk, I would request Registrar Sir and Vikas Rawat Sir to felicitate our guest, Dr. Reddy Sir and Neravetla Sir.
We would request our young guest too, the son of Dr. Surinder Neravetla, also to come. We are happy that you are here. Please do accept.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you for all the kind remarks and thank you for all the love and affection. And thank you for the privilege of standing up here in front of you. And I'm hoping that you will take some very important message from me today that will change many more lives. And I appreciate the opportunity so very much. So without further ado, I'll get started with what I'm about to say. Can you hear me from the back, all the way in the back? Please raise your hand, sir. And this can be an interactive session. So if you have any question, doubt, anything that comes up in your mind, do not hesitate to raise your hand. I'll answer the question. Even with right. That I did not utilize that opportunity to engage in prevention. But now I am extremely aggressive in engaging prevention. You see me walking around with this pin, saltcaves.com, no matter where I go, no matter what I'm doing, sometimes even if I'm sleeping, to raise awareness of the dangers of table salt. That's been my mission for the last 15, 20 years. And we wrote 2 books on the subject. We have written several blogs on this subject, and I've given many lectures on this subject. My son, who was here earlier today on the stage, he's the co-author of most of my writings. And he's very particular about making sure the information is authentic and can be supported by mainstream research. If I say something today, you can be absolutely sure that this has been approved and researched properly, okay? So now, It may come to as a surprise to you, maybe not, but heart disease among Indians is extremely common. You probably all know somebody that had a heart attack at a very young age. How bad is it? 50% of the heart attacks in India occur in people younger than 55. That is just amazing. 50%. Not only that, the type of heart attacks that we see among Indians are much more vigorous and complicated than what we see in the West. And this is a slide taken out of Institute of Medical Sciences, Indian Council of Medical Research, ICMR. This is their slide. They're telling you all and me that heart attacks happen at a very young age among Indians, much more so than almost any other population. And the type of heart attacks we see are much more dangerous. Okay? So can they be prevented? That's the question. So you all know that we shouldn't smoke, right? Is anybody here thinks smoking is okay? Raise your hand. Anybody thinks smoking is okay? No? Okay. So only 20 years ago, it was very fashionable to smoke. Almost 30-40% of people in the world smoked. Now we have learned over time and learned to figure out how to stop smoking, and we have made a lot of success. We have made a lot of progress in that area. Although I'll tell you that almost 15-20% of the people around the world are still smoking. We have not completely conquered the smoking problem, but we have realized and agreed as a society that smoking is bad. Yes? But I'm here to convince you this other thing, salt, table salt, that we put on everything that we eat and drink is just as bad or worse than smoking. It's just not me telling you. Many other organizations are saying that. So, believe it or not, many of the chronic health problems that we are suffering have the roots in the very young age. For example, loss of independence, like you're dependent on various gadgets. You cannot even get around. That loss of independence at age 80 starts at age 30. That long period of time. Heart attack at 50 that we just saw started at age 20. This is one of the professors of cardiology from University of California. That's his slide. I'm not saying this. So Alzheimer's that we see more and more nowadays in India, memory loss, dysfunction, actually starts already when you're aged 40, okay? So all these things have a long period of accumulation happening. We are doing things wrong at teenage level or even earlier, and we're paying the price later on in the years. So we need to start as early as possible. And I'm very glad to see a very young audience here, and I'm very hopeful that you take this message seriously for your own selves and for everybody else. Since you're in a yoga ashram here, let me also say that adding salt to our food makes food not sattvic. Once you know that salt, they also agree with me. Huh? Once you add salt to a food, the food is damaging your body many different ways. We'll go through that. When you consume anything that is damaging to your body, it's actually tamasic food. No longer sattvic, not even rajasic. It is tamasic food. Unfortunately, as we talked about earlier on today, many priests and scholarly people in the yoga system have not come to this acceptance that we shouldn't be adding salt to our food. So Yoga Prana Vidya Ashram is one of those ashrams. If you go there, you'll be served no salt food. And most of you, when you eat that food, will not recognize that there is no salt in that food. So if you cannot eat food, tasty food without salt, the rest of the discussion is waste of time. But I'm here to tell you that you do not have to put salt in your food to make it tasty. You got to get creative with the very herbs and spices. We have to use things like lime and lemon, tamarind, etc., coriander, curry leaves, etc., in the right combination. First of all, you need to pick the vegetables in the right combination and prepare the foods in the right combination. You won't miss table salt in your food at all. If that wasn't the case, I won't be here talking to you. In fact, our home, for the last 15 years, eat no salt. We have no salt in our house at all. Absolutely zero. Thankfully, my wife jumped on board with this, and we are absolutely salt-free home. If one of you came to our house and ate my wife's cooking or my daughter's cooking, you probably won't be able to tell that there's no salt in it. So why I'm saying this? Because we're adding salt to the food with the expectation that it makes it tasty. Yes and no. It may be, but it comes with a lot of baggage. So if you delete that, the food still will be tasty. And you know what's going to happen after you get used to no salt food? After a while, you do not like the taste of food when somebody puts salt in it. In fact, some people will revolt. They simply spit it out. So you all need to try it out, and then you will see the surprise. So nowadays we developed a society of pill. You know, we got a pill for everything. I go around many households, everybody is in a dozen pills. In India, each pill actually is a combination pill. If somebody is taking 4 pills, he's actually taking 10 to 15 medications. And we do heart surgery, open the chest and put somebody through a very grievous type of time frame, and you don't know what's going to happen. But I'm here to tell you, and I agree with this statement by another cardiologist. What did he say? I hope you can read this. And I will read this slowly and steadily. Nothing, not statins, not angiotensin blockers, which is a blood pressure medication, not beta blockers, another blood pressure medication. Most assuredly, none of these procedures, stents, that is DES, bypass graft, something I do, constitute either cure for coronary artery disease, nor is it risk-free. We are doing all these expensive procedures. We're putting on tens of medications, and none of that is actually curing heart disease, nor is it risk-free. Unfortunately, people are in the impression that I'm taking medications, I've gone through heart surgery, I'm cured, and they go back to the same old habits. So they're back to square one. They're back to square one. High blood pressure in yellow. This is a slide from World Health Organization. In comparison to all other causes of death, it tops them, all of them, including tobacco. Tobacco was the #1 cause of death and disease in the world for a long time. But since we made some progress with smoking, high blood pressure has taken over. I would tell you, however, that if you're a smoker, smoking is the #1 problem. So no matter how many pills you take, how much exercise you do, how much yoga you do, and how many other things you do, but if you don't quit smoking, the benefit of all these things is only marginal. You're still going to pay the price for smoking. The same is true for putting salt in your food. Yes, same is true for putting salt in your food. You're going to pay the price no matter what other things you do. So there are many animals live longer than human beings, or at least as long. Some elephants, whales, some other things. But none of them put salt to their food. None of them add any salt. Okay? In fact, there are 30 million plus different species in the world that one university in Germany keeps track of. Every time a new species identified, they tag them. So not one of them add salt to their food. To believe that you need to have a salt as a part of a nutrition is dangerous, deadly, and wrong. So we are doing something wrong. So we need to actually learn from our animal, just observing animal behavior, what we should really be eating. What we should really be eating. Okay, not to mention just the salt itself. So any number of animals that give milk to their babies, including human beings, human milk has no salt, has a small amount of sodium. Small amount of sodium. And all other milks of different animals have a little bit of sodium, not table salt. Don't confuse table salt with sodium. Just drinking human milk, a baby can grow 3 times the size in the first 1 year. 3 times the size in the first 1 year. The most rapid phase of growth, just by drinking mother's milk. So you do not need to add salt. So there are more than 1 billion people in the world with high blood pressure, the most common health problem in the world, of which more than 300 million are Indians. High blood pressure is a permanent disease. Once you get it, you have it. There are ways to reduce it or overcome that by following a good prana or yoga prana vidya type technique. But by and large, this is a permanent disease with no cure. Once you have high blood pressure, you become from a patient, from a person to a patient. You're no longer a person, you're a patient. You're going to be taking some medications lifelong. You start with one and keep on adding 2, 3, 4. Eventually, by the time you reach your elderly age, you're going to be likely to be on 50 to 20 medications. It all starts with one medication for high blood pressure. Very first time somebody diagnoses you with high blood pressure is your best chance to stop and say, how can I reverse it? How can I stop it? Instead, most people say, oh, you got pills. I can eat whatever I want and keep going. And that's how we end up with more and more medications. So we have this mission to educate people that we have to prevent high blood pressure. High blood pressure is a starting point for many subsequent health problems. Many subsequent health problems. So it starts and something goes wrong and something goes wrong and something goes wrong and on and on and on. You may or may not die prematurely, but you will live a life with many disabilities. It's called disability adjusted life years, DAILYs. You live with many, many disabilities, and you all know many of them who are living with disabilities, with heart failure, dementia, kidney failure, broken bones, so on and so forth. They all start with, if you want to prevent all of those, you must put a stop in the very beginning. The root cause is prevent high blood pressure. So let's see what is high blood pressure. Can this thing play? Can you play that? What is I have a simple 50-second illustration to explain what is high blood pressure. Hopefully this will play. Yes.
High blood pressure that is killing millions of people around the world. Watch this heart pumping blood into these arteries. And note that each time the heart pumps blood, the arteries relax. Pump, relax, pump, relax. If the artery does not relax sufficiently, the pressure in the arteries goes up, and that is high blood pressure. So the heart and the artery is supposed to be in a coordinated pump, relax motion, but when you develop high blood pressure, that means your arteries have lost the relaxing capability and offer resistance against the blood pumping action of the heart. So this is a serious catastrophic development that has consequences all over the body, which we will talk about in the future videos.
Thank you. So we have this in your handouts, the QR codes. I hope you have them. Please look at this one more time. You have it? Can you hear me there all right? Can you hear me all right there? Yes? Okay. Do you have that QR code on the papers? Yes. Thank you. There are two QR codes, one on what is high blood pressure, second one heart failure. Please take it home, share with your family and friends. It's very simple, only 1 minute, and hopefully that'll motivate people to prevent high blood pressure. So we just learned that when the heart pumps blood, the artery is supposed to relax to receive it. So there's a coordinated action between the heart and the blood vessels, like a dancing motion between two partners. Very well coordinated motion between heart and the blood vessels. Once you've developed high blood pressure, this coordinated movement is not as good anymore. In fact, they're fighting with each other. They moved from a dancing ring into a fighting ring. So heart and blood vessels are fighting against each other. So what happens when the heart and the blood vessels fight with each other? We'll find out that in this battle, there's no winners. The arteries all over the body lose this battle, and the heart also loses the battle fighting the blood pressure. It's a lose-lose situation. Nobody wins. So let's delve into some of that. So high blood pressure, by the way, salt intake, by the way, causes not only high blood pressure, all these problems, high blood pressure, stroke, heart disease, kidney failure, putting on weight, osteoporosis, asthma, stomach cancer, dementia, memory loss, autoimmune diseases, ED, type 2 diabetes. We'll cover some of these as time permits. So American Heart Association says, people think American Heart Association says, eat 1,500 milligrams of salt. American Heart Association is the largest non-profit organization in the world. Although it carries the name American, it's a worldwide organization, and it's a non-profit organization. It's no government runs it, and whenever American Heart Association makes a recommendation, cardiologists and surgeons all over the world have to follow, like written in stone. Strictly follow American Heart Association guidelines. We are required to follow. If I don't follow a certain guideline in a hospital, I'll have to answer to somebody. If I keep not following more than once, I might lose my privileges in the hospital. That's how important it is. So American Heart Association never said, please eat 1,500 milligrams of salt. Never said that. But most people, including physicians, mistakenly think that we need 1,500 milligrams or more of salt. No. American Heart Association said, stay below 1,500 milligrams of salt. In fact, actually they said below 2,300 milligrams, but for most people you should stay below 1,500 milligrams. American Heart Association also said the human body requirement of sodium, not salt, sodium, is very small, like 400 to 500 milligrams. Human body's requirement of sodium for normal function is very small. Like all other animals that we just saw, if you eat any normal diet, you will get that requirement. You will meet the requirement. There are a few exceptions. But by and large, if you eat what you're supposed to eat, anything that you eat and drink has a little bit of sodium. And that's all we need, not table salt. Okay, it's a huge mistake. So unfortunately, the American Heart Association position is often misquoted to think that I need 2,300 milligrams of salt. No, please. I hope you will remember this when you enter into discussion with some of your colleagues and friends. So another question that comes up, do I get my iodine requirement if I don't eat salt? Okay, because iodine was often combined with salt to make sure you get enough iodine. That was true at some point, not any longer. So you don't have to eat salt to get your iodine requirement. These are some of the common sources. So Himalayan salt. You know, I'm kind of a little surprised that when I first came to India this time and turned the TV on, I see one of my most favorite actresses, Kirti Suresh, advertising, what does it say? Pure, healthy salt. Have you seen that? Pure, healthy salt, advertised by Kirti Suresh. How many have you seen that? Yes? Nobody here watches TV? It makes me very angry. There is no such thing as healthy salt. Okay, number one. Number two, this salt that she's promoting is a variety of Himalayan salt, which is 98% salt. 98%, same as any other salt. Okay? And the special elements that they claim these salts have, that's not how you get them. You get them by eating normal food. Okay? So by eating Himalayan salt, pink salt, any other salt, you get some special elements, and that's why you eat that? No. That's not how you get that. You get no benefit of that, but you put yourself at risk to having high blood pressure and all other problems. So, father of high blood pressure, he has been telling since 1960s, actually, that there's no physiologic need for table salt. And in fact, he went to United States Congress and testified in front of United States Congress that we do not need salt in our food. Please don't add salt to baby food. Ultimately, the United States Congress agreed to the extent that no baby food will have infant formula have salt, but it stopped after that. So, I've given examples of what we should be actually eating, fruits and nuts. And this is not a test, but in blue and red you see something very striking. What is the sodium and potassium content of fruits? You pick any fruits or any nuts, okay? You pick any one of the nuts, any one of the fruits. What you find is a very high amount of potassium and a very small amount of sodium. Very high amount of potassium, very small amount of sodium. So human body actually needs a diet very high in potassium and very low in sodium. So I would encourage you all to please include in your daily diet a generous amount of fruits and nuts. That itself will prevent you having from high blood pressure. And if you have high blood pressure in early stages, a good chance that it will reverse. A diet high in potassium, natural potassium. Don't go start eating potassium pills. Natural potassium will reverse your high blood pressure in early stage. So in fact, there are several populations around the world that never ate salt. This is one of them from Brazilian jungles called Yanomami Indians. He found that the blood pressure actually is 90/60 on average if you never ate salt in your food, in your life. And second thing is the blood pressure doesn't rise with the age. It's assumed that as you go older, your blood pressure is going to go up. That is the result of your chronic consumption of salt, not by itself, okay? So we are consuming by some estimates, some 70 times amount of salt that our kidney is able to handle. It is not designed to handle added salt. It puts up with it for a while. At some point it says, I can't deal with it anymore. So when does it stop? It's based on this study produced by the Dr. Dahl we just talked about, who went to the Congress and said you shouldn't eat salt. There's what is called salt sensitivity. Some people get affected sooner than others, okay? So what he did is took a bunch of rats and fed them salt. The salts on the red line, the rats on the red line got high blood pressure very soon and died very quickly. And the rats on the green line did not suffer as much. So he called the red rats as salt sensitive and the green ones as salt resistant. And among human beings, there's a wide variety of this problem. Unfortunately, it's genetic, but there's no easy test to tell you who's sensitive and who's not. And it turns out Black America, United States, one of the most salt-sensitive ethnic groups in the world. And my suspicion is Indians fall right behind that, because high blood pressure among Indians is almost 40%. I have no way to prove that, but it's just a hunch. But this is proven. And what happens to the heart when you're fighting high blood pressure? Let me start here. So salt, think of salt as a sponge in the kitchen. It retains water. What does salt do? Salt retains water. You see people in heart failure, swollen ankles, swollen hands, and short of breath, and there's water retention. And what do? We give water pills, diuretics, most commonly used medication for heart failure and also for high blood pressure. So salt retains water. That's one of the most commonly known mechanisms why you develop high blood pressure. So once you develop high blood pressure, the arteries and blood flow are fighting with each other. And now we see the other side of the sponge is a scratch pad. The scratch pad. So the blood flow in the body is supposed to be on the top, like we call it a laminar blood flow. When the blood is flowing through your body, we hear nothing about it. In fact, as we sit here, 5 liters of blood is flowing through all your arterial system. You hear no sound, except the closing and opening of the valves. But once you develop blockages in the arteries, you hear, or the blockages from the turbulence. Once you get high blood pressure, the arteries and the blood flow are fighting with each other. They're getting scratched. They're getting scratched. Where are they getting scratched? This is an example. There's an artery in the neck. I hope you can see that arrow. Imagine yourself driving a car in a straight road, okay? And at a 50 miles an hour, and you don't have brakes. The heart has pumped the blood and the blood is flowing the artery, okay? And then you came across a fork, a junction, or you have to make a turn. Normally what do? You slow down and make the turn, or take one of the sides. But if you don't have any brakes, and you are traveling the same speed as you're traveling in the straight part of the road, you're going to crash on the sides of the wall. You agree with me? You're going to crash. If you don't slow down at a junction, you're going to crash on the sides of the road. And that's what's happening in our body. When the blood leaves our heart and is pumped into the arteries, and you cannot slow down and hits a bifurcation, a junction, or a turning point, or a starting point, different locations, that's where the scratch pad effect. The arteries are getting scratched each and every time the heart pumps the blood. And in these locations where the arteries are damaged, cholesterol is going to build. Cholesterol is going to build. So if you simply take cholesterol pills, and if you don't cut smoking, and don't control high blood pressure or diabetes, you're not going to make much success. As one cardiologist put, human beings don't have statin deficiency. If you come to India and I talk to people over 50, everybody's on a statin. It's like there's a statin deficiency in India. Not true. So we are causing damage to our arteries by one of these things: high blood pressure, smoking, or diabetes. Most commonly, a combination of those. You may have high blood pressure or diabetes, both. Or you may be a smoker and have diabetes. One way or the other, the arteries are choked up and the blood flow going through there is turbulent and scratching the walls. And that's where cholesterol builds. So I can tell you as a heart surgeon, this is the blockage that came out of there. As a heart surgeon, every single location that we deal with, there is a blockage. There is a local story behind it, why the cholesterol built there and not everywhere else. Here is an example of somebody's picture of arteries of the heart, cardiac catheterization, pictures of the arteries of the heart. And you see at the arrow, there's a blockage. This is a location often described as a widowmaker blockage. When this blockage happens, very often the person who has this blockage is not going to survive to make it to the hospital. Sudden death. Very few lucky ones make it to the hospital. This is the kind of people who was doing well without any problems. Next thing you know, he was dead. He had no symptoms. Next thing you know, he was dead. The blockage is at the main artery, the main entrance of the artery. If you can see that arrow, the blood flow is going through. The arrow, and the arteries divide into 3 or 4 all of a sudden. And at that junction, you can imagine the degree of turbulence. And the artery is damaged over there. And cholesterol builds over there. And that's the left main coronary artery disease. Catastrophic problem. The 2 ways. One, by retaining water. Most commonly, so there's more blood flow than the arteries are designed for. Excellent question. So the blood flow is more than what the artery can accommodate. Okay? So you build water retention. Sodium causes through water retention. Number 2, now we know for the last almost 10 years that sodium directly affects the wall of the artery. Take sodium, very high salt food, the arteries actually choke almost immediately. So there's a lot more, so it causes what is called endothelial damage. The inside lining and the outside lining both respond to the high sodium, high salt diet and choke. So there are 2 mechanisms where the artery is not able to, the scratching effect happens. So if you look at this picture, you may ask the question, if it's a cholesterol problem, why it is not everywhere in the arteries? Why it is only in that location? This is a question people like me didn't ask until very recently. If it is raining outside, it should rain everywhere. Why only in that particular spot? If it is sunshine outside, it should be everywhere. Why only that particular spot? So we need to focus on what happened in that particular spot. Why cholesterol built there? So we focus on the fact that there is cholesterol and started treating cholesterol. with some success, I would say, but not as much as we hoped, because we missed the point why the cholesterol build in the place. So if you want to prevent early heart disease, we have to work on prevent smoking, prevent hypertension, and dementia too. So we'll go into that a little bit. So I want to get to the cause of this by a very interesting finding. What is the connection between high blood pressure and diabetes? It's something new. So what is the connection between high blood pressure and type 2 diabetes, very specifically, the most common adult onset diabetes, type 2 diabetes? So it's a matter of observation I did that every time I saw a patient who has type 2 diabetes, he was already have high blood pressure for some time, 10, 20 years. I saw that any number of my friends and relatives and patients. It is very hard to find somebody who has type 2 diabetes who does not have high blood pressure. In fact, I go around medical meetings like this one and challenge doctors and say, do you have somebody in your practice who does not have high blood pressure but has type 2 diabetes? So I didn't understand what the connection was. Yes.
Sir, as in previous slide, you said that cholesterol buildup will be there and it will lead to blockage of arteries. I just wanted to know that if there is any connection between excessive salt intake and retention of cholesterol.
Good question. No, eating excess cholesterol doesn't retain more salt and more cholesterol. I'm sorry, let me say that again. Eating more salt doesn't make your body retain more cholesterol. Is that your question? No, but it helps to deposit in these locations. Eating salt does not raise your cholesterol level. But there's some data to support if you're a smoker that the bad cholesterol will go up. Okay? Very good question. So, did you understand the answer? Okay. And now let's talk about type 2 diabetes. Very important because India is the diabetic capital of the world. Did you know that? So type 2 diabetes is every household problem. But I'm here to say that if you want to prevent type 2 diabetes, you must prevent high blood pressure first. Then you might not even develop type 2 diabetes. And now some evidence is gathering. So I want to walk you through this formula here, okay? The C6H12O6, you know what it is? Glucose, right? So glucose molecule. That's what we use as an energy basis. We consume glucose, and with the help of oxygen, we break it down, and the energy is produced, right? So we break down glucose with the help of oxygen, and guess what happens when that reaction takes place? You develop carbon dioxide. So you breathe out carbon dioxide. So you breathe in oxygen, breathe out carbon dioxide, and you break down glucose. And that's how you develop energy out of that, okay? But something interesting happens in this reaction that we didn't pay much attention. And that is, as a result of this reaction, there is also production of 6 molecules of water. Every glucose molecule that is broken down for the purpose of energy produces 6 molecules of water. That means not only we drink water, our body is capable of producing some amount of water. And in fact, one biochemistry professor told me that human body in the course of a normal day produces about 300 to 400 ml of water by breaking down the glucose molecule. So what is the importance of this? It turns out this doctor who is now at Vanderbilt University in Tennessee, he originally started his research in Russia on cosmonauts. Astronauts in Russia are called cosmonauts. And then 10 years later, he went into Germany and then came to the United States. It took him 30 years to come down with this research. And what he found is that the cosmonaut, Russian cosmonauts, don't drink as much water as you expect them to, but still seem to be okay. They don't drink as much water as you think they should be drinking. How about the compensating? He was wondering. So he did research for 3 decades and came up with the answer. And what were they doing? They were consuming, breaking down more glucose than necessary. They were utilizing more glucose than necessary just to get the water they need. Not so much the energy they needed, but just to get the excess water that they're not drinking. So they were breaking down more glucose than necessary. In fact, he found that to be true in human volunteers and as well as animal experimentation he did. So he came up with the idea that eating salt has to be compensated with excess water. If you eat something salty, you have to drink water, right? But if you don't drink water, how are you making up for it? And this is the thing. If you eat salt, you might not be over time drinking as much water to compensate, to balance it. Instead, you're breaking down more glucose. And how do you do that? Through a mechanism of excess corticosteroid production. He actually measured that. He measured the corticosteroid production in human beings who eat salt and experimental subjects and animals, that we feed them salty diet, they produce more glucocorticoids. Those are basically steroids. And it creates a syndrome which is often described as a metabolic syndrome, excess corticosteroid production. And part of that is type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes. So you see in the bottom, glucose molecule broken down with oxygen produces carbon dioxide and water as it does oxygen and as it produces energy. So very important take-home message, very common problem in India. We have to prevent type 2 diabetes. Once you have high blood pressure and type 2 diabetes, heart disease around the corner. It is coming. And many other things. And you don't want to see that. So type 2 diabetes carries so many health problems. And once you get diabetes, you cannot eat what you want to eat anyway, right? There's so many restrictions. So why didn't you start at the beginning? Learn to eat healthy. Develop a taste for healthy things. And stop using salt. You don't need it. Adding salt to human food serves no nutritional purpose. Adding salt to food serves no nutritional purpose, but it puts you at risk developing high blood pressure and many other health problems that we just saw. It creates a friction between arteries and the blood vessels and creates points of turbulence where cholesterol eventually builds. And we have to stop that. And I'm going to go back for a second, go over what happens to the heart. So the heart is fighting resistance. The heart is supposed to pump blood, the heart is supposed to relax. It's not relaxing enough. So what happens? The heart is working out, like it went to gym and lifting weights. So as you know, if you lift weights, the muscle grows. The same thing happens to the heart also. The heart muscle grows. It grows and grows and grows and grows. And develop a type of a heart failure which is described as diastolic heart failure. Diastole means systole is when heart pumps, diastole when the heart relaxes. You may not think relaxing is important, but it is very important. We only focus on, if somebody gets a heart echocardiogram, ultrasound of the heart, often these physicians and patients focus on how good the heart is pumping. If the heart is pumping good, they say, oh, my heart is doing fine. But they don't focus on how the heart is relaxing. Diastolic dysfunction is very important and is a very common type of heart failure that we are seeing now. Very common type of heart failure we are seeing. The heart still pumps good, but doesn't relax. Okay? And let me explain what this means. So look at this fellow, a golfer. He's hitting a ball on the floor. And if he's taking a big, nice swing and hits the ball through, it goes very far. But let's say he's not allowed to take a backswing. So diastole is like a backswing. If you cannot take a backswing and just hit straight from here and only take a forward swing, the ball is not going to go as far, right? You agree with me? If your backswing is restricted in some way, to the extent is restricted, the ball is not going to go as far, right? Sometimes you compensate by hitting harder. So how do you see that? We see the systolic function greater than normal. Somebody's heart is pumping more than it should be, and they're happy. Oh, my heart is pumping very strong. Then I stop them and say, could you tell me why your heart is working harder than it should be? Please stop and tell me why your heart is pumping harder than it should be. That means it's compensated with something else, right? It's because it's not able to relax. Not able to relax, okay? So this is diastolic dysfunction. You see that very commonly, and it's early stages when you cannot take a whole backswing, only maybe you can take a backswing here. So you're limited to some extent. And how do we find that in normal population? We tell you cannot do the same things as you used to do last year. You can hear one of your friends or uncles and aunts telling, I can't do the same thing as last year because I'm older now. I'm no spring chicken anymore. I can't do the same thing as last year. What may have happened is diastolic dysfunction has come in. As you go further, your activity is further limited and limited and limited. And once you reach a point, you can barely go from the kitchen to the bathroom to the bedroom, and you're just doing a 3-inning circus. You don't have energy to do anymore. At that point, you're at stage 4 heart failure, stage 4, the final stage. Your legs are swollen, you get admitted to the hospital, and we give you a diuretic, this and that, and get you tuned up. You go home, and 2 weeks later, you get readmitted. One of the most common reasons for readmission is diastolic heart failure, a very common problem. And this is how the heart suffers from fighting high blood pressure. Along with heart enlargement, many other things go wrong. The valves start leaking. You develop irregular heartbeats, atrial fibrillation, for which you are put on a blood thinner. You probably know somebody in your family on a blood thinner. Okay, these are all consequences of enlarged heart. And if you don't have a blood thinner, you get a mini stroke. That's how you get dementia. So these are all, one lead to the other. And go on and on and on. There's endless problems. And finally, I'm going to stop here with this stop sign. So we as physicians have to walk the walk. That's why I'm not very popular among physicians, because I press them that we need to be the examples. We need to live by example. As Mahatma Gandhi said, I won't wait for the world to change. I'll start with myself. That's what he said. Okay? So we have to start. So those who are listening to this talk, I'm very hopeful that you take this very seriously and start following this and share and show by example that it can be done, and you can prevent many deadly diseases and live a healthier life whenever your time comes. You can often hear people saying, I'm going to die one day anyway, right? It's a very common thing to say. Marna kabhi, ek din to marna hi hai. It is true, but you live healthy until you die. That's even more important. So, stop sign. Why did I put it there? It's a reminder for me to stop, but more importantly, this is the reason why the industry doesn't want people like me to come out and talk about salt reduction. If I were to talk about statins, for example, everybody take a statin, I'm almost certain that one of the statin companies would pay for my ticket from USA on first class and limousine me here and put me up in a 5-star hotel, and please talk about why everybody should be on a statin, okay? They would promote me, in other words. But if I talk about salt reduction, the same companies would find a way to stop it. Why? Because they want to sell more product. The processing industry wants you to eat more stuff. Processing industry want to sell more things. And the pharmaceutical industry has its own agenda. But the processing industry, manufacturing industry, has fought salt regulation for a very long time. Now they keep quiet now. But they fought people like Dr. Dahl for a long time. The reason is this stop sign. Why? So try eating some peanuts without salt. Peanuts, what do you call peanuts? Groundnuts. You call them groundnuts, right? When you eat groundnuts, or even potato chips, for example, without salt, you eat a certain amount and you cannot eat anymore. Try eating a banana. For example, if your favorite banana is your favorite fruit, how many can you eat? 1, 2, 3, 4. After that, you cannot eat. You may still be hungry, but you cannot eat any more bananas. But if I make a banana pie or a banana dessert, you're going to finish off 20 bananas. Okay? So the industry wants you to eat more, sell more product. When you don't add salt to your food, the quantity of food that you're going to eat is going to go down. There is a point in your brain called satiety center. There's a brain thing that tells you stop, don't eat anymore. When you add salt to any of these things, the stop sign goes further back or completely disappears. You keep on eating potato chips. You keep on eating salted peanuts. And you keep on drinking beer to make up for it. That's what the industry wants. So if you and your friends want to lose weight, I would urge you to start with salt reduction. I've seen this any number of times, and DASH studies, one of the studies that I've done, have shown, the Yanomami Indian study that I showed, where their blood pressure 90 or 60, showed that if you eat saltless food, the amount of food that you eat is limited, but naturally. So you lose weight, and once you get used to eating unsalted food, you automatically, you don't have to keep on somebody reminding you, or don't eat this. You're automatically going to eat less. For one thing, you lose initial weight because all the excess water is gone. Once you stop eating salt, if you already have a few pounds to lose, you lose initial weight by the loss of the excess water that goes out of the body. And later on, the portion size goes down. So you have sustained weight loss. I can tell from my colleagues and nurses and patients who is following salt reduction. First thing I see is they lose weight. And if you fell off the wagon, you will get back to eating salt, then you start putting on weight. So take this seriously, because another problem that's happening in India is obesity epidemic. You're having high blood pressure, you're having diabetes, you're having obesity. Almost 30% of Indians are now considered overweight, something like that. It's a big problem in its own. And you want to stop that, go with cutting your salt in your diet. Cut your salt in a diet. And the food will still taste good. And don't be bullied by somebody else. Being healthy is not very popular, Eating junk food is very popular. You're unpopular if you don't participate in that. But you stand tall. If you're following healthy diet, please stand tall. Don't let somebody bully you. And carry the message forwards. And with that, I'm going to conclude. Thank you all very much. Can you give the microphone to him, please? So this is not a test. Please feel free to ask many questions. I'll be gone in 2 days back to America. So nobody's going to judge you. So don't hesitate to ask any questions.
Hello. So when we have a low BP, I've heard doctors suggesting having salt water or having pickle. So how do
Yes,
we...
very good question. So I have this question almost every conference.
And so one more,
Yes.
and also when they say if you want to increase your cellular hydration, they say drink a little bit of salt water or add a little bit of salt in your water
Yes.
and then have it every day.
Second one is definitely wrong, okay? So you should eat a bunch of mixed nuts and drink water and then eat fruits. They provide the right combination of sodium, potassium, magnesium, and many other elements that you need. Okay, if you're feeling tired and you think you're electrolyte deficient, eat some nuts. If you look at tennis players like, what's his name, Djokovic, in between he beats a banana. He eats a banana, okay? So that's how you replenish normally. So you do not have to do that. I do not agree with the recommendation. There's no basis for the recommendation. Going back to the first question is much more interesting. So we come across people who have low blood pressure, like you said. There's a difference between somebody having low blood pressure from which is symptomatic, that means he feels woozy and dizzy, and there's somebody who naturally learns low blood pressure. Okay? My son, who just was on the stage, he went on a mission trip to South America, in Ecuador. So he came across a tribe, their normal blood pressure is only 80 over 60. Okay? So there are a lot of people whose blood pressure, whatever the number it is, if they're functioning normally, it is not low for them. Okay? There's no reason to elevate their blood pressure artificially. So that's one category. The second category, who run normal blood pressure, once in a while they run low blood pressure. And why? So we need to delve into them more seriously, like put them in one of your labs. Why is your blood pressure running low? So, and why you're symptomatic? And often we find that there is some problem why his blood pressure is going low. Most commonly, low blood pressure and low sodium is caused by some medication you're taking. Most commonly. But there are some diseases like adenomas and some tumors that can cause, and certain kidney problems that can make you lose sodium in your urine. Okay? There are this pathology. But average person doesn't do that. But the most commonly when you do low blood pressure or low sodium, it is as a result of some other medications. Even the most common medication has 50 different side effects. We only talk about the top 3 or 4. You become a detective and let's look at what medication they're taking. And for delve into what we call deeper dive, look deeper into what complications, side effects that medication has. And you'll very commonly find that one of the medications causing low sodium or low blood pressure. Having said that, your symptomatic low blood pressure, symptomatic low sodium is similar to having low blood sugar in a diabetic. A diabetic patients often suffer hypoglycemia. And that's a dangerous condition, and you have to treat it, and you have to give sugar. Only that time, okay? Only when you have hypoglycemia. But if you keep on giving the sugar, the diabetes is going to go out of control. Same applies to hyponatremia, that is low sodium and low blood pressure. You need to spend extended research into why that's happening. Stop what medications you can. Do additional research into kidney function. At the end of the day, sometimes you have to give saline solution to bring their blood pressure up or correct the electrolytes. But only that time. But don't tell them to keep eating salt tablet or keep drinking salt. I do not agree with that. There are exceptions to that. By and large, that's not good advice. Okay? Did I answer your question? Okay. Thank you. Thank you for a good question. Yes. So you heard about iodine. That comes up very often. And you heard about sea salts. They're all dangerous, every one of them. They're all salt. So yes, rock salt, sea salt, Himalayan salt, pink salt, kosher salt, Celtic salt. There is a salt named after every ethnic group to somehow catch you into using salt. All of them, or nearly all of them, are actually table salt, same as table salt. They all have certain different tastes perhaps, but they all claim to have certain special elements. And don't fall for it. Those elements, you may need them, but that's not how you get it. You get those special elements by consuming normal food. So 98% you're consuming salt, expecting that you get some special element. No. I will take upon challenging Kirti Suresh. I will, I'm telling you that. And you all join me in that. She's hurting a lot of people. She's got blood on her hands. So she's using her notoriety and her hard work and her talent and her beauty, not for the benefit of other people. She's for the benefit of the industry, to hurt all of us. That's not right. So I'm going to write about it. Okay.
Namaste, sir.
Yes. Yes.
So is it harmful to use salt while doing Kriya? Because in Kriya and Vaman Dhoti, we use a lot of salt. Though we take it out, we are not consuming it, but...
Yeah, very interesting question. There are exceptions where some people sweat a lot and lose a lot of salt, and there may be some, very few. But by and large, Dr. Dahl, I just had it slide on you. He did the research. He's the father of hypertension. And he said, sweat is an secretion. You are trying to get rid of something. And he said, more salt you consume, the saltier your secretions. Why are you trying to replace it? This guy. Saltier your food, the saltier your sweat is. It's like you're passing urine or having a bowel movement. You don't want to replace what you're losing there. Same thing the sweat also. But I'll tell you there are exceptions. Some people work under extreme circumstances of sweating and losing a lot of electrolytes. They have to be dealt as a special category. But not routine exercise, not routine yoga, not usual amount of sweating people do when they work out, like playing a sport, etc. They should not be drinking salty substance. Is that clear?
Sorry, sir, I want to make a correction. I asked that when we do Vaman Dhoti, Kriya, Kunjal Kriya, we use salt in water, in lukewarm water, and we drink it and we take it out through vomiting. And yes, Jal Niti also.
Yes. Thank you. I'm sorry. I misunderstood your question. Yes, you can drink water, but you cannot give water IV. Yeah? Have you seen? So very interesting. The tears are salty. You cannot taste. You don't like to taste them. So if you put plain water into your eyes, they burn. So you have to have a pH balanced electrolyte solution to wash your eyes. Same thing with nasal membrane also. If you put plain water into the nasal membrane, it burns. It's not designed for that. So you have to use a pH balanced, salty solution to wash your nasal membranes and your eyes too. So that's okay. But don't drink that. Okay? It is okay and necessary to wash your eyes and your nasal passages with salt like water, which is pH balanced. pH balance is more important actually. So, but don't drink that water. That's the difference. Yes. Somebody has a question there? Yeah, I'll be around. You can talk to me. Well, thank you all very much. Thank you very much. Appreciate your generosity. And I hope you take this seriously. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Neravetla sir, for this insightful session on the adverse effect of adding salt to the food. So, good evening to respected guests and esteemed faculty members and dear students. As we come to the conclusion of today's enlightening seminar on the adverse effects of adding salt to food, I am honored to deliver the vote of thanks. First and foremost, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to esteemed speaker, Dr. Surendra R. Neravetla sir, for sharing his invaluable insights on mindful salt consumption and its impact on health. Thank you for enlightening us with many insightful thoughts like our body don't need salt, but it needs sodium, how salt acts as a sponge and it increases BP and swelling, also the relationship of salt consumption and diabetes. Thank you so much, sir, for guiding us and making time in your busy schedule to be with us today. We are equally grateful to Dr. N.J. Reddy, sir, founder of Yog Pran Vidya, who has explained very precisely how body heals itself and gives insights about the prana healing. I would also like to thank Srimati Reddy ma'am for her presence today for her, from her busy schedule. I would like to express my special thanks to Saloni ji and Atish ji from Yog Pran Vidya Foundation for their constant support in the seminar. We also owe thanks to our registrar, Sir Shivsankar Sai sir, for his constant support and guidance in making this event possible. His encouragement is invaluable to all the initiatives here in S-VYASA. A sincere thank you to Dr. K. Sharma sir and Dr. Vikas Rawat sir for their presence and support. Last but not least, a big thank you to all of our attendees, faculty members, students and guests for your active participation and curiosity, for asking lot of doubts. It is our enthusiasm for our learning and growth that motivates us to continue organizing such insightful events. Let us carry forward the valuable lessons we have gained today. With that, I thank you all once again and wish you good health and mindful choices. Thank you so much. We'll end the session with prayer. Sarve Bhavantu. Close your eyes, sit straight, both hands in Namaskar. Take a deep breath. Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah. Sarve Santu Niramaya. Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu. Ma Kashid Dukha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.